The phone rang at 6:47 a.m., a shrill buzz that sliced through the quiet of my kitchen like a knife through warm butter. I was halfway through my second cup of coffee, the bitter steam curling under my nose, when I saw the caller ID, Sheriff's Department. My gut twisted. Out here, on a 20-acre farm where the nearest neighbor is a half-mile of dirt road away, a call from the law isn't a social visit. I picked up, heart thumping like a deer caught in headlights. "Mr. Callahan. This is Deputy Harris. We've got a complaint about your property. Mind if we swing by?" His voice was calm, but there was an edge to it, like he was reading from a script he didn't quite believe. I leaned against the counter, the cold granite biting into my palms. "What kind of complaint?" I asked, already knowing this wasn't about a loose cow or a noisy tractor. Outside, the morning was crisp, the kind of autumn air that smells like hay and frost. My farm isn't much, just a patchwork of fields, a creaky barn, and a vegetable garden I've been nursing back to life since my wife, Ellie, passed 2 years ago. The grief still lingers, heavy as the mist that clings to the valley at dawn. I've been pouring my soul into this land, coaxing tomatoes and zucchini from soil that's as stubborn as I am. But the caller wasn't interested in my carrots. Deputy Harris said something about unauthorized structures and HOA violations. I laughed, a dry, hollow sound that echoed off the chipped ceramic mug in my hand. HOA. I'm not in an homeowners association, never have been. There was a pause on the line, a crackle of static, and then he said, "Well, ma'am insists you are. We'll be there in 20. I stepped onto the porch, boots scuffing against the weathered wood, and squinted toward the road. Sure enough, a sheriff's cruiser rolled up, kicking up dust that shimmered gold in the sunrise. Behind it, a shiny white SUV trailed like a vulture circling a carcass. I knew that car. Karen. The self-appointed queen of Meadowview Estates, the gated community a mile down the county road. She'd been sniffing around my property line for months, ever since I put up a new fence to keep my goats from wandering. Her emails, long, caps-locked screeds about property values and aesthetic standards, had been piling up in my inbox, each one more unhinged than the last. I'd ignored them. My land isn't part of her homeowners association, never was. Never will be. The cruiser parked, and Deputy Harris stepped out, a lanky guy with a mustache that looked like it belonged in a 70s cop show. He tipped his hat, his eyes scanning the farm like he was expecting a meth lab, not a row of sunflowers nodding in the breeze. Karen emerged from her SUV, heels sinking into the gravel, her blonde bob so stiff it didn't move in the wind. She clutched a clipboard, her lips pursed like she'd just sucked a lemon. "Mr. Callahan," she started, her voice sharp enough to cut glass, "your barn is a violation of Meadowview's architectural guidelines. And that eyesore of a garden. It's lowering our property values." I blinked, the absurdity hitting me like a slap. My barn. The one that's been standing since my granddad built it in '62. I crossed my arms, feeling the flannel of my shirt pull tight across my shoulders. "Karen, I'm not in your homeowners association, this is my land. You've got no say here." Her eyes narrowed, and she jabbed a manicured finger at me. "I've checked the records. Your property is within our jurisdiction." She was lying through her bleached teeth, and we both knew it. But before I could call her bluff, Deputy Harris raised a hand. "Ma'am, we're here to sort this out. Mr. Callahan, can we take a look around?" I nodded, jaw tight, and led them toward the barn. The air smelled of damp earth and the faint tang of manure, and I could hear the goats bleating softly in the distance. Karen's heels clicked behind me, each step a little declaration of war. That's when I noticed him, a kid, maybe 16, leaning against my fence, half hidden by the shadow of an oak tree. He had a hoodie pulled low over his eyes, hands stuffed in his pockets, and a nervous energy that didn't quite fit. I'd never seen him before, but something about the way he watched us, quiet and sharp, made the hairs on my neck stand up. "Who's that?" I asked, nodding toward him. Karen froze, her clipboard trembling slightly. "Nobody," she snapped, too quick. Deputy Harris glanced over, then back at me, his brow furrowing. "You know him?" he asked. I shook my head, but the kid's presence gnawed at me, a loose thread in this already tangled mess. Inside the barn, the air was cool and musty, the kind of smell that clings to old wood and hay bales. I flicked on the light, a single bulb swaying from the rafters, casting long shadows across the dirt floor. Karen marched in like she owned the place, pointing at the walls, the roof, the stack of feed bags in the corner. "This is non-compliant," she declared, her voice echoing. "The color, the materials, it's all wrong." I let out a slow breath, the kind that burns your chest on the way out. "Karen, this barn's been here longer than you've been alive. And again, I'm not in your homeowners association." Deputy Harris, to his credit, looked uncomfortable, his boots shifting in the dirt. "Ma'am," he said, turning to her, "do you have documentation showing this property's in your homeowners association?" Karen's face flushed, a blotchy red creeping up her neck. She fumbled with her clipboard, pulling out a crumpled map that looked like it had been drawn by a toddler with a vendetta. "Here," she said, thrusting it at him. "His land is clearly within our boundaries." I leaned over, squinting at the paper. It was a photocopy of a county plat map, with a red marker circling my farm like a noose. Except the circle was wrong, sloppily drawn, lumping my property in with Meadowview's manicured lawns. I laughed, a real one this time, sharp and bitter. "That's not even close to accurate. My deed's in the house. Want me to grab it?" Before Harris could answer, the kid from the fence appeared in the doorway, his hoodie still low, his voice quiet but steady. "She's lying." The words landed like a thunderclap. Karen whipped around, her eyes wide, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. "Excuse me," she sputtered. The kid stepped forward, pulling a folded piece of paper from his pocket. "I'm Josh. I live in Meadowview. I heard her talking to her husband last week. She said she was gonna fake the map to scare you into selling." My heart stopped, then started again, pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. Harris took the paper, unfolding it carefully. It was an email printout, Karen's email, to some lawyer, bragging about her plan to push out the hick farmer and flip my land for a profit. The barn went silent, save for the faint creak of the rafters and the distant hum of a tractor somewhere down the road. Karen's face crumpled, her bravado melting into something small and ugly. That's not real," she stammered, but her voice cracked, betraying her. Harris read the email, his jaw tightening, and when he looked up, his eyes were steel. "Ma'am, falsifying documents and filing false complaints is a crime. You're gonna need to come with me." Karen's clipboard hit the ground, papers scattering like leaves in a storm. She tried to argue, her voice rising to a shriek, but Harris was already guiding her toward the cruiser, her heels dragging in the dirt. I stood there, the kid, Josh, still lingering in the doorway. "Why'd you do it?" I asked, my voice softer now, the anger draining out of me. He shrugged, kicking at a pebble. "She's been bullying everyone in Meadowview for years. My mom's terrified of her. I couldn't let her win." His words hit me harder than they should have, a reminder of the kind of courage it takes to stand up when you're scared. I clapped a hand on his shoulder, feeling the weight of the moment settle between us. "You did good, kid." As the cruiser pulled away, Karen's face pressed against the window, her mascara streaking like a bad watercolor. I felt the knot in my chest loosen. The sun was higher now, warming the fields, and the air carried the sweet scent of clover. I looked at Josh, then at my farm, the barn, the garden, the life I'd built from grief and grit. This land was mine, not just by deed, but by heart. And no one, not Karen, not anyone, could take that away. Sometimes, justice isn't just a gavel or a badge. Sometimes, it's a kid with a secret, a deputy with a conscience, and a man who refuses to bend. I took a deep breath, let it out slow, and turned back to my garden. The tomatoes were ripe, red as victory, and I had work to do.